you crafty people? Today I am going to show you how to make this really cute Amigurumi Charmander. He's about 5 inches tall depending on the kind of yarn you use, and he is super easy to make. I'm also going to be posting a Charmeleon and a Charizard variation that you'll be needing to make this base Charmander for, so make sure that you keep an eye out for those videos once they're posted and definitely check them out. Now let's get into our materials. The first thing you're going to need is 4 different colors of yarn, orange yarn and tan yarn for your main colors. And then next, you're going to need yellow yarn and red yarn. We only really need just a very, very small amount. We're just doing the tail with these 2 colors. That's it. Nothing else on him is yellow or red, just the tail. So if you don't have a lot of these 2 colors, that's fine. You should still be able to make it. The next thing you're going to need is, oopsies, a size G or 4mm crochet hook. Or depending on the kind of yarn you use, you can check the gauge that's recommended for the yarn that you're going to be using. Because if you're using kind of a thicker yarn, they might require a thicker gauge. This is actually a smaller gauge than the yarn that I like to use recommends, but I like the way that it comes out when it's just a bit of a smaller hook because I like the stitches to be really tight together. The next thing you're going to need are 2 12mm safety eyes. Right here. You can get these at, any store that has doll making supplies. Like I got these at Joann Fabrics, I think. Or you can maybe get them at Michael's. I haven't had any luck at Michael's or Hobby Lobby. But Joann Fabrics, you can get these, and you can definitely get them on Amazon. 12mm is a pretty standard size. I mean, the first ones that are going to come up when you search are 6mm ones, but 12mm are not impossible to find. And then you also need their backs. The next thing you're going to need is an embroidery needle, just a big fat needle that you can stick your yarn through so that we can sew everything together. You will also need pins so that we can pin everything in place. And you're also going to need scissors. Yes, I realize these are cuticle scissors, but these are what I have, and I can't find my other scissors, and don't worry, I don't use these for my nails. I'm not going to cut yarn and then do my nails with them. Also, side note, I do have to apologize for the state of my nails in this video. I've been working on something that's kind of torn up my hands, so I haven't really been able to work on my nails at all. So if you're like looking, you're like, well, dang, look at the state of her hands. That's what's happening with that. I have an excuse. The next thing you're going to need is toy stuffing so that we can stuff it, or you can also use yarn scraps. And then the last thing that you're going to need, which is kind of an obscure object to need for amigurumi, but here it is, you need a comb. The reason why we need a comb is so that we can separate the tail, because when we make the tail, we're going to take our comb and comb through it to make it, more puffy and fire-like. This is actually more looking like a firework, so I'm going to adjust it a little bit. But yeah, when we do the tail, you're going to need a comb. And other than that, that is everything we need to make this tutorial. So let's get started. Okay, so starting with your orange yarn, we're going to make a slip knot. So we wrap the yarn around our finger and then pull the tail through the loop. Okay, so one more time, wrap it around your finger so that you have this loop here. And then pull the tail through the middle. And then stick your hook through. And pull it tight. So now we're going to chain 4. So we yarn over, so we put the yarn over our hook. Pull it through the first loop, and that's 1 chain. We're going to yarn over again, pull through, and that's 2. Yarn over and pull through for 3. Yarn over and pull through for 4. So we have 4 chains. Now we're going to stick our hook through this first chain right here. that's through. And then yarn over and pull the yarn through both loops. So we're doing a slip stitch, just like that. And this way we have a ring. So this is a little bit different from my last tutorial, but I decided I like this way more. Now we're going to single crochet 6. So the first thing we need to do is stick our hook through the center. So we've made a kind of a ring and we've got all of our 4 chains and we're sticking it through the center. So we're not sticking it through any one chain. We're going straight through the center, yarning over, pull the yarn through, yarn over again, and pull the yarn through both loops. And we've just made 1 single crochet. And now we're going to do that again. So back into the center, yarn over, pull the yarn through, yarn over, and pull it through both loops for 2, back into the center, pull the yarn through, yarn over, and pull through both loops for 3, back into the center, and 4, back into the center for 5, and last one, 6. So we've just made 6 single crochets. Let me just let out my yarn a little more here so that I've got a lot to work with. So we've just made 6 single crochets. Now we're going to increase. So when we increase, we do 2 single crochets in 1 stitch, or two stitches in 1 stitch. So we're going to go through every single one of these stitches and do 2 stitches in each. So right now we have 6, and by the end of the round we'll have 12. So what we need to do is stick our hook through our stitch, our first stitch. And let me zoom in so that you can see exactly what I'm doing. Okay? So we have our first stitch right here. We're going to take our hook and stick it through the stitch. So unlike last time, we're not going back into the center, we're just sticking it through the stitch. And we're going to pull our yarn through, like that, and then like we did last time, yarn over and pull through both loops. Now we're going to go back into that same stitch that we originally went into and pull your yarn through and make another single crochet. So we've just increased. So now if you count, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now we're going to move into this next stitch and do the exact same thing. So we put our hook through the next stitch, pull our yarn through, yarn over, and make 1 single crochet. And now we're going to go back into the same stitch, pull the yarn through, yarn over, and that's our increase. Now move to the next stitch over, and that's 1 single crochet into the same stitch, our increase. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so we're going to do this 3 more times. So into the next stitch, single crochet 1, and into the same stitch, our increase. And in the next stitch, single crochet 1, and in the same stitch, increase. And in the next stitch, single crochet 1, and in the same stitch, increase. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we just went from 6 to 12. Okay? So now we're going to do another increase round, but unlike last time, we're not going to increase in every single one. We're just going to increase to 18. So we're not going to double our stitches, we're going to increase them by 6. So we're going to single crochet 1, then increase in the next stitch. So we're increasing on every multiple of 3. So we're going to go 1, 2, and in this same stitch 3. So 3 is our increase. So we go into this first stitch and single crochet 1, then move to the next stitch for 2, and in the same stitch increase for 3. Now we move into the next stitch and single crochet 1 for 4, and in the next stitch 5, and in the same stitch our increase of 6. In the next stitch 7, in the next stitch 8, and in the same stitch increase for 9. In the next stitch 10, in the next stitch 11, and in the same stitch our increase for 12. In the next stitch 13, in the next stitch 14, and in the same stitch our increase for 15. In the next stitch 16, in the next stitch 17, and in the same stitch our last increase for 18. So from now on, for every round we're going to just be increasing 6 stitches. And so we went from 6 to 12 to 18 stitches. Now we're going to do another increase round, and we're going to increase from 18 to 24. So similar to last round, we're going to single crochet 1 in some stitches and 2 in others. So unlike the last round, we're going to single crochet 1 in 2 stitches and then increase on every multiple of 4. So before we were increasing on multiples of 3, and now we're increasing on multiples of 4. So you go into this first stitch and single crochet 1. In the next stitch, single crochet 1, that's 2. And then instead of increasing in this stitch, we're going to move over into the next stitch and single crochet 1, which is 3. And then in this same stitch, we're going to go back into the same stitch and do our increase for 4. So we increased on a multiple of 4. And now we're going to repeat this pattern. So we have in the next stitch 5, in the next stitch 6, in the next stitch 7, and in the same stitch our increase on 8. In the next stitch 9, in the next stitch 10, in the next stitch 11, and our increase in the same stitch for 12. In the next stitch 13, in the next stitch 14, in the next stitch 15, and in the same stitch our increase on 16. In the next stitch 17, in the next stitch 18, in the next stitch 19, and in the same stitch our increase for 20. In the next stitch 21, in the next stitch 22, in the next stitch 23, and in this same stitch our last increase for 24. So now we have 24 stitches. All right, so now we're going to do another increase round, but we're going to increase on multiples of 5. So before we increased on 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, and 24. Now we're going to increase on 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30. So in the first stitch, single crochet 1. In the next stitch, 2. In the next stitch, 3. In the next stitch, 4. And in the same stitch, increase for 5. In the next stitch 6, in the next stitch 7, in the next stitch 8, in the next stitch 9, and in the same stitch our increase for 10. In the next stitch 11, in the next stitch 12, let me pull out my yarn. Ooh. In the next stitch 13, in the next stitch 14, and in the same stitch our increase for 15. 29, and in the same stitch our increase for 30. And that was our last increase for this round. And as you'll notice, we have a hexagon shape coming through. That's because we keep increasing kind of in the same area. So you're going to notice a hexagon with kind of 6 flat sides start to form. And that's a sign that you're increasing in the right spots. So for our next round, we're going to increase on every multiple of 6. So we're going to increase on 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, and 36. So in the first stitch, single crochet 1, in the next stitch 2, in the next stitch 3, in the next stitch 4, in the next stitch 5, and in the same stitch increase for 6. In the next stitch 7, in the next stitch 8, in the next stitch 9, in the next stitch 10, in the next stitch 11, and in the same stitch our increase for 12. In the next stitch 13, in the next stitch 14, in the next stitch 15, in the next stitch 16, in the next stitch 17, and in the same stitch our increase for 18. In the next stitch 35, and in the same stitch our last increase for 36. So that was our last increase of the round, and now we have 36 stitches, and our hexagon shape is becoming more pronounced, as you can see. So next we're going to do our last increase round, and in that round we're going to be increasing on every multiple of 7. So we're going to increase on 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, and 42. So in the first stitch, single crochet 1, in the next stitch 2, in the next stitch 3, in the next stitch 4, in the next stitch 5, in the next stitch 6, and in the same stitch our increase for 7. In the next stitch 8, in the next stitch 9, in the next stitch 10, in the next stitch 11, in the next stitch 12, in the next stitch 13, and in the same stitch our increase for 14. Last increase for 42. Okay, so now we have 42 stitches. And that is the last of our increase rounds, at least for this first part. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're just going to single crochet continuously around for 7 rounds. Okay, so just continuously all the way around. So what I like to do is I like to take my tail right here and just put it right here so that I know where my start is, because I'm not going to count all the way up. Okay, so I'm not going to count all the way up for 7 rounds. Yeah, so because if I count it up for all the way for 7 rounds, that's 294 stitches. That's kind of a lot to count up. You know, you can lose your count, all sorts of things like that. So what I like to do is just mark where I started, and then once I complete 7 rounds and I'm look straight down and yeah, this is about the right place. It's about in line. That's good enough for me, because I don't want to count up to 294 and risk losing my place and then not knowing how many rows that I've done. So I just like to mark it like that. So we're just going to single crochet 1 all the way around for 7 rounds. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so now we've reached the end of our 7th round, and as you can see, just straight down, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rounds. Now, over here, there's probably like 8 rows or something. It's not exactly perfect. That's fine. As long as when you count up, you have 7, you're good. So now we can take out this marker. And the next thing that we're going to do now is we're going to start decreasing. So before we were focusing on increasing, making it wider, and now we're going to decrease to make it smaller and create the round head shape. So we're going to decrease in the same way that we increase, in the sense that we're gonna decrease on every multiple of 7, then 6, then 5, then 4, then for 7 rounds, or for not 7 rounds, but for several rounds. So first, we're going to decrease on every multiple of 7. So we're going to single crochet 1 in this first stitch, 2 in the next stitch, 3 in the next stitch, 4, 5, and 6 and 7 are going to be crocheted together. And what I mean by that is, let me zoom in so you can see really well what I'm going to do. So for number 6 and number 7, we're going to decrease, and we're going to do something called an invisible decrease, which is one that's not very noticeable, because some types of decreases are. So we're going to stick our hook through the front loop only of this first stitch. So as you can see, it's not through both loops. It's through just the front loop. Okay, so front loop of number 6, and then we go back through and stick our hook through the front loop of stitch number 7. So we've got 2 loops on our hook, 6 and 7 right here. Then we yarn over and pull through both, then yarn over and single crochet 1. So we've just made 2 stitches into 1. Okay, so that was 6 and 7. And now we're going to keep going in that pattern. So in the next stitch is 8, the next stitch is 9, the next stitch is 10, 11, 12, and then 13 and 14 are going to be single crocheted together. So once again, we stick our hook through the front loop of stitch number 13, through the front loop of stitch number 14, pull our yarn through, and single crochet 1. Okay, moving on for 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and then 20 and 21 are single crocheted together. They're decreased. So through the front loop of 20 and through the front loop of 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, and then 27 and 28 are going to be decreased together. So through the front loop of 27 and through the front loop of 28, and then 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, and then 34 and 35 are decreased. So through the front loop of 34, the front loop of 35, and then 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, and then 41 and 42 are decreased together. 41 and 42. So we've just finished our first decrease round, and if we count, we should have 36 stitches now. So we went from having 42 stitches to having 36 stitches. So we have, let's just count really quick to make sure everything's okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, and 36. So we've just gone from 42 stitches to 36 stitches. Now we're going to decrease again, and we're going to go from 36 stitches to 35 stitches. So we're going to decrease on every multiple of 6. Like last time we decreased on every multiple of 7, this time it's every multiple of 6. So we single crochet 1, 2, 3, 4, and then number 5 and number 6 are decreased. So through the front loop of 5 and through the front loop of 6, single crochet 7, 8, 9, 10, and then 11 and 12 are decreased together. So through the front loop of 11 and the front loop of 12. 13, 14, 15, 16, and then 17 and 18 are decreased together. So through the front loop of 17 and the front loop of 18, and single crochet 19, 20, 21, 22, and then 23 and 24 are decreased together. So 23 and 24. Single crochet 25, 26, 27, 28, then 29 and 30 are decreased together. So through the front loop of 29 and 30, single crochet 31, 32, 33, 34, and then 35 and 36 go together. So front loop of 35 and through the front loop of 36. So now we should have 30 stitches. Okay, so we're going to do another decrease round, and we're going to go from having 30 stitches to 24 stitches. So we're going to decrease on every multiple of 5. So we single crochet 1, 2, 3, then 4 and 5 are decreased together. So through the front loop of 4 and through the front loop of 5. Single crochet 6, 7, 8, then 9 and 10 are decreased together. So through the front loop of 9 and the front loop of 10. Single crochet 11, 12, 13, then 14 and 15 are decreased together. So front loop of 14, front loop of 15. Single crochet 16, 17, 18, 18, and then 19 and 20 are single crocheted, or are decreased together. Sorry, there's stuck. Okay. So through the front loop of 19 and the front loop of 20. Single crochet 21, 22, 23, then 24 and 25 are decreased together. So through the front loop of 24 and through the front loop of 25. Single crochet 26, 27, 28, and our last decrease for 29 and 30. So through the front loop of 29 and the front loop of 30. So now we should have 24 stitches, and as you can see, it's starting to curve down. Now we're going to do our last decrease round, and we're going to decrease from 24 stitches to 18 stitches. So this is going to be our last decrease round for this part. So we're going to single crochet 1, single crochet 2, then 3 and 4 are decreased together. So through the front loop of 3 and through the front loop of 4. 5, 6, and 7 and 8 go together. So front loop of 7, front loop of 8. 9, 10, front loop of 11, and front loop of 12. 13, 14, front loop of 15, front loop of 16. 17, 18, front loop of 19, front loop of 20. 21, 22, and our last decrease through the front loop of 23 and the front loop of 24. So now we should have 18 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. That's how many we needed.